Hi, this is Jesse from the Walking Mosh Pit, and I'm here with Nick from Euphoric Melancholy.
Heyo.
He has just played his first debuting show, and it was fucking absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, man.
All right, so I know that you've been working so really fucking hard for this, man.
Cheers.
So this is the first emo night of 2023. Tell us how you're feeling right now after that awesome show.
Yeah, shit, ecstatic actually. I didn't expect to get as well received as it was. A lot of people supportive. I know I don't exactly have the head bopping music of say Serrated or someone like Orotech, but to see the support regardless of something a bit more quieter is just generally appreciated overall. I do love it.
Man, honestly, you put on a fantastic show. I think that the people that really cared, they were there, they bopped along, and they had a good time. I think you played some fantastic music. But this isn't your first time actually playing an emo night. You capped off 2022 playing with the Depressed, and you counted in the new year. So tell us about that, and what was that like?
That was a bunch of fun. So basically, we had the New Year's slot. They wanted an emo night played, and trying to get out-of-town musicians on New Year's Eve is like almost impossible. So we basically thought, why don't we just make a local musician supergroup of people who play music and produce music in the region, and that became the Depressed. We literally came up with the name on the day we performed. We had no idea what was going on, just did a great cover set. People seem to really like it. Hopefully we can do it again at some point. I'm not too sure when, just if the guys like Avelina, Jack, and maybe Jesse are interested.
That would absolutely be lovely to see. I know that the Depressed went off and that a lot of people had fun. I think that it would be great to see them again, my man.
I hope so, yeah.
But I do know you quite well, and I know that you actually have a bit of a choir background. You've been
Yes, I
singing
do.
pretty much your entire life. Music is in your veins. So can you tell us a bit more about your musical history?
So, ironically, I'm the only musical person in my family, so I have no idea where I got it from, but when I was about 13, I would say, I got picked up in my local choir. They just said, hey, we want you to sing music, you've got a nice voice, and I did a lot of formal training. I studied at the local conservatorium, but at that point, they obviously wanted me to go classical, and judging by my music taste, I am not a classical musician.
No, you didn't enjoy that?
No, I enjoyed it, but it definitely was not what I wanted to write remotely close. So after about high school, I really started to pick up into rock music, just learning theory and just trying to implement more polished vocals, softer writing into like a heavy rock context.
I think that you've done a fantastic job. I think that with Euphoric Melancholy, what you've done is you've got this wonderfully ambient, but also like nice rock sound that is eloquently sad, to put it. And I think it's quite beautiful.
So I know for me, I take heavy influence from a genre known as shoegaze, which comes more from the indie rock scene. But it relies mostly on ambient guitars, very kind of more not complicated melodies, but very much major sevenths, kind of more complex chords than your standard power chords. And so the hard thing for me was trying to blend, say, hard rock metal genres into a shoegazy kind of format. So the most often compared I get to is like Deftones, but I kind of wanted to go past that and lean more like softer, a bit more, melancholic type sounds, writing happier sounding chords with quite sad or moving lyrics.
Euphorically melancholic, you might say.
Yes, happy sad music.
Which is essentially the name of the band, which I do love. I think it's fantastic, and surprised that it took, no one had come up with it yet.
I was shocked, yeah. I basically was like looking through, because I'm like, oh, like what is, what's moving? I'm like melancholic. I'm like, no, that's too obvious. I'm like, sad. I'm like, I'm like a euphoric melancholy. Let's go polar opposites of each other. And I'm like, no one's taken this. One, because it's super wordy and everyone's like, oh yeah, like, I like that band EM, is that people have referred me to. It's not as punchy, but it does represent my music, I think, in terms of just description.
I think it really does, and honestly, like, it's great that your band name does represent your music. You are, at the moment, a solo artist. You work by yourself, but recruit other musicians to help you play live. You recruited Jesse Green earlier tonight to help you play.
Great bloke. Yeah, no, so at the moment, it's mostly a solo project. I made this over COVID because, like every musician, like, oh, I'm going to make something because I'm locked in my house, which is how I ended up writing Streetlights, just as a pet project to try to learn to write music properly. And then that kind of evolved into, okay, recording with local musicians, playing with local musicians, and it became a actually bigger project. So it's still a solo project for now. I would like to hire other musicians at some point in the future, but Yeah, it's still a work in progress.
So, you did just mention it a second ago.
Yeah.
You do only have 2 songs on Spotify, one of them being Streetlights, as you mentioned. But you also have A Teardrop in the Rain, which has done really well.
Thank you.
It's honestly one of my favourite songs of all time.
Oh, dude, thank you.
And I just really want to know, like, what can we expect from you in the future? Is there anything more to come real soon?
Yes, so I did play a unreleased song at the moment called Apathy. I wrote that one this year. That was I drafted that in August. I finalized it after the show in December. At the moment, I've still got I'm hoping for a 4-track EP. Don't want to say exact number, but I've got 1 track done, a 2nd track written, and then a draft of a 3rd, and I'm deciding what to go for the 4th. I've got a couple ideas in mind. But I'm hoping to at least see if I can release a 4-track EP by the end of the year. That's the goal.
By the end of the year, so we've got a lot to look forward to. I'm very, very excited for that, Nick. Honestly, thank you so much for giving me your time here tonight. I really, really appreciate it.
All the best, Jesse. Take care, man.
All right, you have a great night.
You too.